Good evening. It being just a little over 7 o'clock, let's open the Kingston Zoning Board of Appeals for February 19th, 2025. Can I get a second? Can I get, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good. First on the agenda is public hearing for, is it Palmer? Am I saying it right? Flommer, okay. Mr. Flommer, for special permit to, an addition to existing non-conforming two-family structure. Do you have the reading for that, Lane? That's right on the thing.
Public hearing will be held at Town Hall.
26.
Applicant William Flommer seeks a special permit per section 8.1A.5 from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Address 23, Swiss
Sorry, to construct an adapted addition to the existing dwelling. I'll make a, this has been open?
No, this is new. This is being
Okay.
refreshed as new.
All right, so I'll make a motion to open the hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good. Just do a rehash. We've already had you here once. You got a mic? Perfect.
Yeah, we're just seeking a special permit to expand existing structure, 24 by 30, 26 by 24 with a 6 by 12-foot mudroom, primarily for accessible reasons, to make a first floor living space and entrance with a handicap lift to get at the rear of the building. And that's
it,
pretty
yeah,
much
yeah.
it, yeah.
Yep, I think all we asked for you is we had to change some paperwork. We just had to change some paperwork because it was written up wrong.
Correct.
You have plenty of parking. You were just going to put parking
Yeah,
spots on it.
we printed off
We just need one for the file. Or she's going to need one of them, most importantly.
Most important.
Perfect. You can take a look if you want. You got the paperwork all saying it's two-family?
Yep.
I heard that came through, and then your sewer betterments, I saw that came through too. That being said, since we did see this already once, we were just fixing the paperwork. Bob, do you have anything?
No, not at all.
Doug?
Not a thing.
Wayne?
Nothing.
Anyone from the public? Anyone on Zoom want to speak for or against this? No hands up. That being said, I make a motion to approve the special permit.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And we'll give you an
Thank you for your
application to join. We need another member. Thank you.
I'll
Have
be
a
by
good one.
for the cookout once you finish the construction. I'll be by for the cookout once you finish the construction.
There you go. Take it easy.
Take care.
Next up on the hearing is going to be Grandview, who are not here.
They didn't tell us they're not going to be here? Sue Larson?
I'm actually very surprised that they're not here, to be honest.
Should we do the next one?
We're gonna do it. We're waiting for the secretary.
Or do we need to wait until 7:15, actually?
7.
Actually, she was 7:05.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to skip her and then go to the last one?
Yeah, but you said I have to do 7:15 for the last one.
Yeah, so do you want to call the first one and continue it, I guess?
I guess I'm gonna wait and see if she got any emails or anything that we don't know about. Just waiting for her to come back.
I mean,
She's out.
FYI, guys, the street, her street chipped in and paid to asphalt the front of her house.
Ooh,
My brother's part of that street. They all chipped in like $500 a piece
nice.
to asphalt the front of her house
What
for her, so
did you?
just FYI, if that helps.
We'll find out if they show. What's going on with Sue Larson?
Do you want me to run down our email her?
Yes, we'll take a brief recess till 7:15 and go from there. Thank you. Oh, can I get a motion? I made a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. It being 7:20, I would like to make a motion to take the meeting out of recess. Can I get a second? All in favor? Aye. And Marcia Meekins is here. She'll be on the board now. She's available. That being said, next up on the hearing is 3 Grandview Ave. Do you want to read that real quick? It's going to be continued.
Yeah, public hearing will be held at Town Hall. Applicant Susan Larson, 3 Grandview Ave, must seek a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals per section 4.2.a, nonconforming structure, use, or lot, subsection 4a, in order to remove the roof on a nonconforming structure on a nonconforming lot and build a second floor for living space. I guess, is the applicant here?
The applicant is not here,
Okay, so I guess I would, it's already been open.
so we'd see to.
I'll make a motion to continue.
Yep. How many on March, the first one?
March 5th,
Yeah, how many on that?
2 so far,
What about the second one after that?
1.
Let's move to that one, I think. Be probably safer.
Okay. That'd be 3/19, I believe.
319.
So I'll make a motion to continue this hearing until March 19th.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Next on the docket is Cushman Farms. Doug, you're going to recuse yourself. You're going that side. Thank you. Doug down there is recusing himself. Lane, would you like to read it?
Public hearing will be held at Town Hall
Handicap place? That's
to hear the petition of Cushman Farms LLC, 33 Cushman Drive, Kingston, Mass. To request a comprehensive permit under MGL Chapter 40B to allow construction of 3 apartment buildings, proposed to build 162 units of rental housing on approximately 11 acres of land located off Marion Drive and Cushman Drive in Kingston. It's already been open, so
Oh, yes, it's been open. So, all right. Where we left off was we'd asked the applicant if we could, if they would consider withdrawing without prejudice because of lack of water. 2 of the board members wanted to continue to hear because we were kind of in limbo. We wanted to have town council present to let us know if it's something we need to move on because, again, the town has a moratorium on water, and it's indefinite. So I figured before we hear from you, we would hear from our town council, Attorney Preventure. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
And so I figured we'd hear from you first and see what. Sorry, wait. Hear from you first and see what makes sense going forward.
So I think, in general, we have a number of different options. You could ask the applicant if there would be a requirement to withdraw the petition. You can see if they want to move forward. You can close this hearing if there is no interest in moving forward. You want to take a vote based on the availability of water. One thing I would know is that it's not really a moratorium insofar that you haven't declared some kind of emergency generally. It's that you're up against the limit of the DEP permitting for taking withdrawals from the approved wells that you have. So there's just no more water capacity available. I think if you want to hear from the water department, they could explain it, I think, better than I can, just because they're the subject matter experts on that. So in general, I think you have a number of options. I think that the only thing I would caution you against doing is that if you want to have the applicant, move through the process, partake in any peer review, but you think you know that the water issue is going to predominate, you may make a decision to say, we don't need to go forward with all that, we could simply resolve this because we feel the water issue is unresolvable at this time. That's the way the board is complying. You could also, theoretically, if you wanted to, allow this to move forward with the understanding that the applicant would not be able to receive any permit for municipal water connection until such time as water becomes available to serve it. So I think you've got some pretty broad latitude to handle it as you feel appropriately. I think in these circumstances, it's always constructive to engage with an applicant, to engage with members of the public, to bring in the water department, and to see where everybody's at on the status of this.
Do we need to bring in the water department? Because we we heard from the water department directly on another 40B, not even 3 to 4 months ago, and they basically told us exactly what you're saying. We knew this, but we want it confirmed from town council that we have this ability.
Yeah, no, I think you can, and when I say bring in the water department, that's also just part of being transparent with the applicant. I know you've heard it, it's no question that we're involved in an appeal before the Housing Appeals Committee in which the availability of municipal water and the feasibility of a connection for a project is directly at issue. So I know that that's all, pretty familiar to all of you. I just wanted to say in fairness to the applicant, if they wanted to hear it, if you wanted to have the water department come in and explain it to the extent that that may influence any decision they might make about how they want to proceed here, or if they want to press it in a certain fashion, you can certainly do that. But ultimately, it's your decision and the way I let out. I don't think you are required in this circumstances to specifically do anything. If you would like to, though, I think you can pursue any of the avenues I laid out if you have any further questions.
Anybody on the board have any questions for?
I do.
Go ahead.
Are you saying strike that. If the applicant wants to go forward, knowing about the current lack of water, are you saying that they may not do so?
I'm saying that it's your decision. So even if the applicant wants to go forward, if you feel that because there is no available water connection, that the project cannot be approved because it would lack a critical infrastructural element, and because you do not have a time frame, as I understand it, having spoken with the water department, in the last, I think, 3 to 4 days about it, but unless something's changed within that time frame, we have an anticipated window. My understanding is it's going to be years before there's going to be the development of additional wells because they need to be sited, explored, and then approved by the Department of Environmental Protection. So if you feel that that's an appropriate basis to deny it, I think you would be well within your rights to go down that avenue. It's not me telling you to do it one way or the other. I think if you wanted to try to explore a scenario in which you could approve the project in general, but state that it's conditioned on municipal water connection becoming available due to an increase in capacity, you could look at doing that as well.
Where in Chapter 40B does it say, does it lay out as, give the town the right when a current water connection is not available, but will be available in the future, to deny a 40B project that is willing to accept that as a condition?
So Chapter 40B generally doesn't speak in that level of specificity.
Okay, so let me interrupt you there. So it's not a statutory authorization that the town has. It is your opinion that the town may deny a 40B applicant that is willing to accept as a condition of their comprehensive permit, that they must have a water supply. It's your opinion that we can just deny it on that basis. We can deny that because there is not currently water available. That's just your legal opinion. It's not a statutory requirement. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
So
Where's the...
what I'm trying, I don't mean to interrupt, I don't want to talk over you, but what I was going to say before you jumped in is that Chapter 40B also allows the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, what was formerly DHCD. It empowers them to promulgate regulations that govern applications under Chapter 40B. One of the regulations that has been promulgated specifically addresses the availability of municipal infrastructure and whether a town is going to, or how it would have to make a claim that the project is predicated upon municipal infrastructure and whether it's not feasible for the project to exist without that. So no, it's not an explicit statutory basis, but the statute allows the executive agency to promulgate regulations that in turn govern how the town and the zoning board can make a claim or respond to an application if the board is inclined to feel that the denial is appropriate under these circumstances.
What regulation are you referring to in particular? And that would be the regulation that gives the town the authority to prohibit a 40B applicant from moving forward because the town currently doesn't have a water supply.
So the regulations that were promulgated formally under the Department of Housing and Community Development are located in the Massachusetts Code of Regulations. It's 760 CMR 56.00.
Okay, could you just go a tiny bit slower so I could write that down? 60,
760.
oh, 760.
It's 760 CMR, which stands for the Code of Massachusetts Regulations, 56.00.
No sub, that's it? And is that,
That is the general citation to it. As you can imagine, there are a number of subparts to each of those.
it is that the regulation that is currently on appeal, that involved, that the town is, there's a current appeal where the town has taken this position, correct?
Yes, that governs proceedings in essentially all comprehensive permit applications. There is a subpart that deals with the local hearing before the zoning board, as well as a subpart that deals with the regulation of the appellate process before the Housing Appeals Committee.
I understand that. I asked you, what is the status of the current appeal
It's before the committee,
before the housing court?
not before the Housing Court, before the Housing Appeals Committee.
The committee.
It's an administrative agency.
Okay. And how long has that been pending?
What does this have to do with?
I'm
this?
just curious as to when we reasonably expect a decision in this.
In what?
In the case that he said, is,
Did we deny it just for water?
you denied it for water. That's the issue in the case.
That was one of the pieces.
I know, but
Yeah.
it's one of the issues on appeal in the
I
case,
want to know what
correct?
this has to do with this.
I'm asking him questions about the advice that he's giving us, and if where it is in state law that
He just
gives us
told you
the
where it is
right.
in state law,
He-
and then
right,
you
he
asked
did.
about an appeals.
Because I understood that the very issue, that this very issue that affects Cushman Farms is one of the issues that's on appeal, that will be ruled upon, correct?
Yes, in the abstract, yes. Now, that may play out according to the particulars, will obviously be governed by the facts that exist in this application, and the other one will be by the other. I don't think it's necessarily true that one has to rise or fall with the other, but in the broad outlines, yes, there was an issue, and that there's another 40B application in which it was predicated upon a connection to municipal water, and there is not enough water capacity within the town to supply the water needs of that proposed project.
And it was denied by the town. It was allowed to go forward on the merits, but ultimately denied, correct?
No, not on the
Yes.
merits. It had more wrong with it than that. If you really want to go off topic, that 40B had multiple issues with it, and had multiple bites of the apple, and that was one of the pieces of it.
I'm just trying to understand the
I mean, we
Cushman
did
Farms
approve
40B.
another 40B after that, and they went to Wells after they knew they had no water.
I'm aware of that one.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's on the record too, that we did approve another 40B after that one's fact.
I'm just trying to focus on Cushman Farms and...
No, you're
and-
not. You just went off topic.
No, excuse me, and, you know, I understand what our town council says. I was understood that Cushman Farms Council was going to be available.
She's here. I want to ask their opinion too.
Okay, oh, is that,
Thank you.
thank you. Those
Anybody
are my
else?
questions of our town council.
Bob,
No question.
Lane.
What would be the options that we have, you're saying that we could ask them to withdraw without prejudice. Obviously, they could refile at any time. If we deny it, what is the waiting period for them to be able to refile this same application?
I have to go through and check. So I guess it depends, right? What is the nature of the denial? Are they going to exercise a right to appeal? because things before the Housing Appeals Committee can take enough time, the underlying facts can change and they can wind up in an appeal coming back to you. That would look like them essentially just refiling an application. It wouldn't look any different on your end, but it wouldn't technically be a new application. So I hate to give you the classic lawyer answer, but the answer is kind of it depends.
Yeah, and then the other question that I have is, if we only deny it because of the water, I mean, you know, we haven't really dove into this, but there's a lot of other issues with this that I see, such as traffic and density. If we don't cite those, do we lose that kind of reason that we're denying it as our denial? I mean, how in detail do we need to get? Do we need to waste everybody's time and money to do traffic studies and, you know, density, like impact, to get to the ultimate rejection here, so that we preserve, the town preserves its denial of everything, not just the water issue?
Yeah, it's a good point. Do we have to itemize the denial? Good, that's a good point.
So in general, when you pass upon any application, you would want to identify everything that you think should be a problem. Now, appeals before the Housing Appeals Committee are considered de novo proceedings. They take place without any deference to the board's decision, unlike, say, a different kind of zoning application where you might wind up in Superior Court or Land Court. That said, as a practical matter, I think, you know, from the perspective of economy, you would likely want to vet everything, but this is also why, you know, in every case in the 40B development application, we encourage dialogue with the applicant to see what they're interested in presenting. And if there's a concern by them that the board is going to be unfairly asking them to go through a lot of work, I think you would want to know about it before saying, we're going to move forward. It puts the case in a different posture if the applicant is understanding that they are going to make a basic showing that they feel that the development meets the applicable criteria under Chapter 40B and the regulations that implement it. And the board is choosing to limit this and streamline this because it has an issue that clearly disposes of the case, because it can't see a way around it or a way for the applicant to mitigate the issues that are presented by the problem, particularly here the lack of water service.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, attorney for Cushman Farms, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Appeal. My name is Tanya Trevison, and we're Mary O'Shaughnessy and Beauty, here on behalf of Cushman Farms LLC and its principal, Rick Lincoln. I understand your focus here tonight has been on the water moratorium, but I want to emphasize that that's not a valid reason for the board to decline the review of the project and to allow the process to proceed. The board has the authority to waive local water department rules, or as your town council has said, could potentially condition the project on its ability to connect to a water supply, if that condition is applied equally to all developments. But as noted in my January 21st letter to the board, Kingston's possible inadequacies of the water supply do not justify the denial of a comprehensive permit, where the entire town would benefit from various needed improvements in water infrastructure, to which the town has been derelict this time, right? So, for that reason, I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant requesting that the hearing process proceed. The applicant would request that the board confirm the peer reviewers that have been selected and had provided to the board when its prior secretary was in office. They had specifically selected PGB Engineering for the site civil and Howard Stein Hudson for the traffic. The applicant also would request that a proposal from those peer reviewers be provided so the applicant is aware of the anticipated costs. I do note that one of the board members was concerned about costs of traffic studies and the like, and just remind them that the applicant bears the cost of the peer reviewer. The applicant is willing to agree in writing to extend the time for the hearing beyond the statutory 120 the project, we're prepared to file an appeal with the HAC.
We figure that either way. Everything we said would be figured. Town council, you want to rebuttal?
I don't disagree with anything. I think procedurally, as I indicated, you have the right there, seem willing to go forward. If you want to hear out what they have, and you can continue to exchange information about what the costs of peer review are, and they want to move through the process, I don't think there's any reason you would say we're not going to hear you out. It's part of vetting the application and rendering a decision on all the aspects of it that you might have any concerns with. So I think if the applicant wants to move forward with the process, acknowledging that there is an issue with the capacity of the town's water system to provide service to it, that's their choice. I think you have the application before you, they're willing to extend the time frame for it. I don't think there's any issue with moving forward. It's really just a question for the discretion of the board, how you want to proceed.
Very good. Guess I'll pull the board. Marcia, what's your feeling?
I think we should move forward and hear the application on the merits before prejudging the application.
Bob?
I'm opposed to the project because of the water, traffic, which has been brought up before from the neighborhood, and the location of the project to where it is, to me, it just doesn't fit, so I'm opposed to it altogether.
Joe, are you going to go for a denial?
I'll move to a denial, yes.
Lane?
I think that we should go forward with, I mean, the applicant has heard that the town is against this, that, initially, based on their presentation, based on the questions that we asked, we might not be in favor of this at this point. If they want to prove us otherwise, they should have the chance to. They applied, they're the applicant, they should go through the process, they're paying for it. It might be a waste of time, but I think that it's a cleaner, we get a very detailed, if we reject it, ultimately, we get a detailed rejection, and they can go and appeal that, instead of just one issue of water.
My feeling is we can reject it not just on water, but on the face value we have right in front of us that they're presenting. We have issues that we would already take, as Bob would say, we already know there's going to be a traffic issue, even without
Yeah.
a traffic study. We already know there's going to be a density issue.
And then they would just approve it to the
Because we can
appeals.
deny it
I mean,
on
it's
water.
de novo,
They're
so
gonna-
they would just do their own studies.
They're going to probably appeal no matter what they do on this project. We know this is going to be a giant headache. It has conservation issues. It has
Yeah.
density issues. It has traffic issues. It has the ability, it wants to have an egress and two egresses, one opening up basically, we close the road right next to it, and they want to open up basically their own road right next to it, parallel to it. So we already know that's a problem. We won't have two egresses because we're gonna.
I agree. I don't see how they're going to convince this board to approve the project. Maybe Marshall will. I mean, you seem like you're in favor.
I'm willing to hear the applicant and judge the project on the merits,
But
not based on one hearing where a lot of neighbors appeared and raised concerns about the traffic. As I understand 40B and the statute is that we cannot hold a developer responsible to cure existing deficiencies in the town's infrastructure. That includes
But we
our
cannot. But we
roads
can't
and
allow
our
them to add to
highways.
We can't allow them to
Again,
be
we're
allowed
not
to
even
detriment.
having a traffic study done yet. You are prejudging everything. I would
I think-
respect Paul.
I think we had a
Let-
traffic study done when we had a road, a street parallel. You can see it right there. It's
this
closed.
project that has to have a project study done. It's not any
I mean, they're going to do
other
it before
project.
us, or they're going to do it before the appeals board. So
Do it.
And then on top of it, we've seen it more than once because they've actually changed it from the original plan.
Again,
So we've seen it twice.
let them finish. Let's get some peer review done. let's really hash these issues out that you are raising, that our consultant will address, and let their consultant and come back to us. Again, that's all I want to do.
There's one of them that we'll never be able to hash out.
According to you, Paul.
The
It
what?
only takes
The
3
water.
votes on this
Yeah.
board.
According to the attorney, according to the water department, who we heard for
I
another
honestly
Bring
don't
them
see,
back
I
and
don't
have
see the
them
water as
testify
the main
here. Me
issue
neither.
here, because that could eventually be fixed.
going to
The
be
traffic and the density will never be fixed in that area. You have a
Right.
school right there, you have, I mean, they need to reduce the amount of
Railroad
people.
tracks, there's-
Yeah, they're opening up different roads, it's
My
not,
point is, we could deny it not just for water. We could easily, on its face value tonight, if you wanted to hear them talk tonight, and at the end of this meeting, on its face value, we could deny it for water, density. We don't even need to trust traffic. We know both sides are aggressively bad. With the school being right there, on a street that's barely wide enough where you have wetlands on both sides of the street going up to Cancun. I think the road's only 30 feet wide, and you can't go any wider without going into wetlands. I mean, if you want to hear it tonight, it's not going to be much change from the last time we heard them.
I
I
think
would
they
like
just want
peer
the peer,
review.
they just want the peer review tonight. What are you planning to present tonight? If we allowed you to go forward? Not allowed, but.
We have one of our consultants on tonight to explain the revised plans. They had been submitted in January of this year. There has been no hearing regarding those plans. There's been no presentation, no discussion on it. So I think it's a little premature to say that it has issues when there's been no discussion.
All right, I would say we need to let them present.
Tonight?
Yeah, and then,
All right.
I didn't get the revised.
Bob, do you want to hear it tonight?
Well,
I'm inclined to make a motion.
Did you get the
I'm
revised
emotional
plans?
to continue
We have
because
no plans here, so.
Yeah, no one sent us revised.
we haven't had a chance to review it. And
I have
and if we,
revised
and if we're
plans.
gonna.
I left them at home because my understanding is that we were just talking about the legal issues tonight.
If we were in a position to deny it, I would like to have ducks in a row to get all the subjects and say, I don't want to say, let's just deny it for the water or the traffic, but I think there are other issues that, if it's going to continue, and we want to deny it for specific reasons, we should get those specific reasons documented, which ones I think we are. So if we want to continue this thing and they want to do a peer review so we can study it and what they want to review, that's fine. But I just don't see it fitting at all in that space.
It's up to you. We don't have any copies. None of them were brought to us.
So we filed the revised plans on January 17th.
We still require, when you guys show up, to have 7 copies available for us and the board. I'm sure other boards have the same thing. When you show up, 7 printed copies set out. We're not a printing company. We're not Staples. So we're supposed to have 7 copies of all your revised stuff at every meeting, usually the week prior, so we can review for the meeting.
Okay, so at this point, could we ask the board to confirm the peer reviewers that have been selected by the applicants and get a proposal from those peer reviewers so that we're aware of the anticipated costs? And I'd also propose that there's an agreement in writing to extend the time for the hearing beyond the 180-day statutory mark, because that date has come and gone. I think it was back in April of 2024 that expired.
No, we have emails from you guys. We won't continue guys without emails continuing it. I even asked not even a week ago for another one.
I haven't been party or seen any of those.
We've been sending you emails at each continuation, requesting
I believe we have one
continuations of them.
until like April.
Who were they going to?
I can check my email, but it did say April 31st of 2025.
We've been requesting them every time. With every continuation.
Okay, so right now, according to your records, and I would appreciate a copy of that, whenever the applicant has agreeing to the extension of time, so you're running till April 25th, or what did you say, April what, of
I think
2025?
April 21st of 2025, but
Okay,
I'm not exact on the exact date, but I know it was April 2025.
Jeannie, do you have the names of the peer review they wanted?
Yes.
PGB and what was the other one?
Howard Stein Hudson for traffic.
Correct.
I'll send an email to them tomorrow.
Yes, so we'll require from you a check somewhere between probably 5,000 to 7,000, I would think, at least for, money that we can retain, because we have to reach out to them and see if they'll even take them. So just have a backup name per chance, because we've had problems before where people are just like, we're not going to take it. So just a heads up.
Has the board reached out to either one yet? Because they've been in the hopper now for over a year, I understand.
No, we don't have any money from you, so we're not going to do anything until we have money in the kitty from you guys.
No, I understand that, but typically the board will confirm whether or not the peer reviewers that have been selected are acceptable, and
Well, we usually have a list, but it's not the good old days where people would just take just anything. Now it is tough. It's not as easy as it used to be, where we'll reach out, like I said, you guys send a check, that means you're actually going forward with it. She'll reach out, confirm if they're still doing what they're doing, and they're willing to take this on, and then we can move forward from there.
okay, so it's my understanding that typically the municipality provides a proposal from those peer reviewers so that the applicant is aware of the anticipated costs. So, but you just want a flat check for between $5,000 and $7,000?
Whatever, because again, we have to know you have to have some skin in the game. So we're not footing the bill, and we're going to reach out to them. We put it in an account holding for you, and we'll reach out and we'll say, we'll ask them analysis. And either way, if they're not available, you're going to have to pick the next one down the line that you guys feel you could use.
Okay, so the board doesn't have a preference one way or another, which one we select?
It's up to you guys. We just give you the list of who we have, and then you guys get to pick from the list.
All right, fair enough.
That being said, well, there's no reason to continue forward because we don't have any paperwork. You said you had paperwork, but it was at home.
I think I have the revised plans.
No, that's the thing we don't know.
I believe I picked them up from Jeannie.
Yeah.
I do not have, however, the letter that the applicant's attorney sent to the board on January 21st of 2025. I'd like a copy of that.
Yeah, I would too, unless it's in my email, but I don't remember
I don't remember
seeing that. I mean, I think that we're split here, though, because Marcia and I are willing to go forward, you and Bob.
The problem with the split is we have to have a majority. That's it, a simple majority.
To approve a comprehensive permit.
No.
I mean, I don't think we have to have, a
Well, I mean,
tie fail.
this isn't like a vote, but we're
I know,
just,
that's what I'm saying. We either way, if I took a vote, it'd say split.
But I think Lane's point is if you voted tonight, we would go forward because your motion would fail, right?
That's what I was saying.
Okay. Thank you.
We need a simple majority. So we have to always assume there's 5 members on the board, and one's basically zeroed out, and then we could never make a simple majority.
well, is Kevin on this?
He is.
He is, but he's not here tonight for this
Yeah.
vote.
Okay.
But we gotta.
But he also, he'd have to do the Mullins on this too, catch up to what's going on.
Okay.
Not a lot here, but not a lot of substance. That being said,
So-
how far of a timeline out do you guys need to get everything
We would probably need at least a few weeks to get the new set of plans into an actual engineering set. We've been revising them kind of based on comments at previous meetings, which have been the most recent ones that we provided, kind of changing things to kind of better suit the concerns we were seeing. So we need some time to go forward and actually get it into proper form for a peer review.
If the board doesn't mind, could we get 2 minutes of what your revisions are? I would like to know.
Yeah, because I want to actually see before we get something and lose our minds on it. And I could already see something weird there on there.
Yes.
Because maybe you might need to, based on what you say, tweak it again.
So what we've done in the most recent revision is instead of going all the way down Thomas Street, it goes up now near the first building to Copper Beach directly. Going that way,
Two things. Are you able to bring it up on a map, or we gotta be able to show it to the public? So you got to show me what you're saying on that map. I have nothing in front of me, so you speaking, I can kind of see it, the little side jet, but we have the public here that needs to see it. So I need you to kind of show me what's going on your map as you speak. So bring it closer to you, or do you have the mic back there? Please, thank you.
And while we're waiting, is the applicant willing to reduce the amount of units?
Yeah, so to be clear, all right, the original application is proposed concerning the construction of 3 three-story apartment buildings, comprises 162 units of rental housing. The project has been amended, all right, so instead of 3 three-story buildings, the project now proposes 2 four-story buildings with 18 fewer units than originally contemplated. Yeah, the reduction in the number of buildings will allow for 120 feet of woods to remain untouched, so that'll act as a buffer between the project and the abutter. And the height of the 4-story buildings will be shorter than the treetops of the woods.
Very good. Yeah, show your pictures.
So previously, the road ran all the way down here up to meet Cushman. Instead, we've cut it now, so at the first building, it comes up. This is a one-way up in this direction. It's still a 20-foot wide road, and there's a lane blocked off for a fire lane, just to make sure there's enough room for a fire truck to access the site. Going with this route, we were able to avoid any of the wetland impacts on this side.
You're going into an existing street,
Correct.
and it wasn't going into that before.
No.
Well, there was
And
no
that's-
road there before, so it couldn't.
And I'm bad at math, 162 minus 18, that's a lot of people on that one little road.
Minus 14, right? You said was that 148?
So we have the traffic.
But it's only on that one road, or does it go out to Marion still?
It still goes out to Marion as well, yes.
And the
Marion
way-
is both ways. So all the traffic coming into the site would be from Marion Drive, and then traffic out of the site, 60% would be up through Copper Beach, and 40% is through Marion Drive.
So Copper Beach is blocked off, and it's a dead-end road, correct?
Correct.
And it used to be a fully two-sided road from one side of Kingston to the other.
Correct.
And then the town of Kingston voted to block that road because of a traffic issue that went from one side of Kingston to the other side of Kingston, because the mall and the dump is on one side of Kingston, and half, if not 3/4 of Kingston is on the other side.
Yeah. The road here would still have the gate access with key fobs, so only residents would be able to access it, and delivery drivers, basically anyone with access to the key fobs.
But no, so it would go from,
So there'd be a gate right here at this entrance and a gate right here at this entrance.
okay.
Gates always keep people out. Just saying. Continue.
So that As Tanya said, we reduced the buildings to 2 so that we could have the buffer here. Even with the 4-story building, the treetops here are still higher than the tops of the buildings, so they are blocked off still from the residential view. With that as well, all of the daily trips that were coming back through Copper Beach have now been routed out this way, since or rather the trips that were going to be, coming back in this way are now going to be all coming in through Marion Drive, as this is only an exit for residents, and it's only 2 ways for a fire truck.
Wait, so you enter on one and you exit on another?
You can enter and exit both here. This is only an exit here. So there's a gate there, and it's also a one-way to prevent traffic from re-entering that side.
Is the entrance from Marion Drive through the dog daycare center?
It is, there are 2 lots there, and we'd be requesting an easement through there.
I mean, you guys own that property?
We have a PNS agreement for that.
So you don't have control of the site yet?
Not yet.
Wow.
So we're gonna have lack of control of the site.
I mean, it's parking for, people parked there for the commuter rail too now.
Yeah, that's still private property.
I know, but they pay, I mean, I'm just saying, it's just, to me, that's a big wish.
Another question I have, you guys say that the height of the buildings don't go over the height of the trees. We have a variance in town that says can't go higher than 35 feet. What is the height of the buildings, the proposed buildings?
I don't think I have that on here. I would have to double check what
That's a big hill right there, that goes way up on a hill.
You know, let's say 4 stories, 10 feet roughly would be, without foundation, 40 feet, I'd guess.
Oh,
With
roughly.
foundation, maybe 40 plus.
Mm.
You don't have
Abutting
the
a
height.
residential neighborhood of houses that are probably 25 feet tall.
You don't have the height, you said?
I don't have the height with me now.
Okay.
Hi, can I speak? This is Rick Lincoln.
Oh, hello, yes, go ahead.
Hi. So those buildings are actually the same height, slightly less, than the 4 stories that were just built over at the mall.
The mall's a completely different zone. That is you're talking apples and
Right.
and bananas. It's 2 different worlds.
Okay, right, but I'm just saying, it's equivalent height, for.
And what is that number?
I don't have it offhand. No,
I think those are like 50 plus feet.
Yeah, I'd say probably like 62 feet, 64 feet. And then on the easement, that is considered site control. So the purchase and sale agreement, and I've actually paid annual fees on that thing. So that is considered site control in Mass Housing's eyes.
Right.
And it is kind of in between the doggy daycare and the parking lot over there. It kind of splits the property line there. She owns both of those properties. So that's it.
Very good. Continue, thank you.
With that, we maintained a lot of the parking to have a parking ratio of 1.8, which is more than what would be required of the site.
So 1.8 parking spots per unit, or how many
Per unit.
per unit? And how many, the units have what, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms?
There are, so we have 130 units with 2 bedrooms and 14 units with 3 bedrooms.
Now, I'm guessing both of those buildings have to be sprinkled?
That, I believe, might be a better question for Rick. I think he has been.
I'm guessing that's fire code. Fire code would require them to both be sprinkled since they're basically giant apartment buildings.
Yeah, they are fully sprinkled.
If you guys were ever to get water, what size main would you have to bring in through the road? And is the road to it adequate to size for fire suppressant? Don't you need to have like a 6-inch main to that?
I believe it's an 8-inch main, and there is the appropriate sizing on the street, and I'm sure.
Like a 2 for water.
And then you think the streets are adequate?
Yeah, there is a, I believe, 2 pressure lines on this side, and then they probably want us to tie in on both ends to loop it, but it should be adequate what's there.
Lane? You can continue, but it seemed like you're slowing
No,
down.
I'm good. I just wanted kind of an overview of what they are proposing. I still think that it's way too many units. So as our town council suggested, that we try and talk with you and come up with some type of resolution to reduce this to a lot less units, if I was going to even consider approving it. That was just my comment.
I agree.
Marcia?
Would a reduction in the number of units make the project uneconomic?
That would probably be the best question for Rick, who has looked at those numbers.
Well, we'll get that in the pro forma.
Yeah, it's all in the pro forma there. And I will say the density on that project was already less than mass housing's typical standard for multifamily. You typically see 20 plus, units per upland acre. That's far less. We have far more open space than I've done in most of my other developments. So that's why we kind of like the site to begin with. And we don't think there are any health and safety reasons out there, although pending peer review, to support a denial of the project.
Well, you have a major health and safety one. You don't have any water. They kind of fit into both categories almost perfectly. Marcia, anything else?
No, I mean, in just keeping with Lane's request for an overview of what we could expect to see on the revised plans, as long as that's what we're doing right now, soliciting just a general overview pending the actual receipt of the plans, correct?
Yeah.
No, I have no more questions.
Very good. Public, you're welcome to speak because we did open this hearing to listen to it. Come up, speak your name, your address. Into the mic, please.
David Kennedy, 13 Copper Beach Drive. Now, I understand these are probably the buildings, correct?
Correct.
So there's a building here that's red. Currently, I believe actually, no, the house is up here. I didn't know what this building here was going to be.
Do you know what that little building is?
Because before they were all on this side, there was nothing on this side.
Let me ask real quick. Do you know what that building is?
So it's the amenities building.
Like,
Who's,
Just the community building. They might have like a space there for, community events or that sort of thing in it.
whose
Oh, so it's
property
a-
are you going out to? Like, do you own that?
I believe, Rick can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we have a PNS agreement for that one too, for where the road is.
So the two houses in between that road, you have a purchase and sale agreement
For
the,
this one here.
okay. Okay.
anyone else from the public want to speak for or against?
Doug Dondero, 14 Copper Beach Drive. Once again, I'm concerned about access onto Copper Beach Drive with the amount of traffic and with the wetlands on both sides of Cushman. And I don't see how this is going to work in a neighborhood with kids with all this traffic. It just looks like you're adding more of the problems with all the other problems you have. And for just seeing this for the first time in 10 minutes, I'm sure I'll have a lot more questions when I have more time to digest it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Keith Hansen, number 1 Copper Beach Drive. I know I took a look at some of the other plans, and there was, I live at number 1, down at the beginning, right near Cushman, and there was plans to put a throughway through to the easement, or the egress that goes to the school, and the other plans that I saw, there was going to be another easement coming down here to the development. Do you know anything about that? That was on one of the plans.
All right, talk to the board, please. But I can ask her. Do you have any idea who we stuck with?
We were proposing to use, there's access here to the schools.
Correct.
Use the microphone,
You
please.
guys both need a mic.
Sorry, there is here an access currently to the school where there's a walkway. On the old version, we were proposing to add a sidewalk here to connect it. On this version, we'd propose to add sidewalk to the street to connect it.
Okay, but I saw one plan that was going to continue this egress over to the development. Do you know anything about that?
I don't think we were ever proposing that, so I'm not sure what you saw.
The road is big enough to add a sidewalk to it?
Yes, within the right of way. The road already is 20 feet wide, which is sufficient from traffic standards for a two-way road. And the right of way is big enough to have a 5-foot sidewalk, which is a typical ADA sidewalk.
Okay.
And the other question I have, this road right here, this egress, it's like a one-way, you're saying? And what number Copper Beach does that go in between?
It's between 16 and
16 and 18?
18. Yeah.
Okay.
So 16 sold you a,
We're still in 17.
I don't have anything on here for the...
16 is selling you a piece of their
I think that
land?
would be better for Rick, Mr.
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Rick has the information on that. So,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone on Zoom wants to speak for? Very good. So we need to make a continuing of a date. You assume 2 weeks, but you're probably going to need, I guess, 2 weeks for your next presentation after you've heard the little bit of feedback you got now. And then right after that, you're going to get hit with all your peer review.
Yeah, I assume we're probably going to need more than 2 weeks to get everything prepared.
You want a month, 2 months?
I would say if we want to go a month, and then if we need more time, we can request a continuance.
We have one on the 19th so far, right?
No, we have 2. We have 2 and 2. Do you want to be the first one in April? What is the first meeting in April?
April 2nd.
Is it April 2nd or 3rd?
April 2nd's a Wednesday.
All right. So April 2nd.
2nd and 16th, 2 Wednesdays in April.
So do we want to make a motion? Does that seem too soon? Make a motion?
I'll leave that up to you.
All right. And then since we're going to be even farther out, we'll probably request another continuation letter because we're already going to be pushing out 45 days out of the 180 days. So if you can send us another letter continuing the time. Who wants to make a motion to continue it to April 2nd?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue this meeting for Cushman Drive to April 2nd, Wednesday, April 2nd.
7 p.m.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Please have the plans here the week prior in paper, not digitized. That way we can have it in hand. If you have an extra one, we'll give it to the public because it's also available to the public too.
Mr. Chair, can I just clarify, do you want 2 foot by 3 foot plans for everyone, or do you want 11 by 17, or what exactly?
We don't need the massive ones, but I mean, I mean,
11 by 17 works for me.
yeah.
If
As long
you-
as we can see down to some of the nitty gritty stuff, because I don't want to use a monocle to look at the thing.
If you have it electronically too, if you could send it,
Oh, it should be sent electronically, but I'm just saying for the
Yeah.
meeting, we should have it in paper.
and then
At
can
least
you
7.
distribute that to us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Electronically works for me, too.
Will do, all right, thanks.
Anything else on the meeting?
No.
All right, motion to adjourn. Can I get a
I'll make
second?
a motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.